Morning. My name is Mike Rogers. I'm Chief of the Environmental Program in Baltimore. And I'm just going to talk briefly about the program and kind of our general acquisition approach. And then if you have detailed questions, I can talk to you more in the breakout session. These are a few photographs that illustrate some of the work we do. The two projects on the left are both FUDs, formerly used defense sites, cleanup projects. The top one is pretty much a conventional H-W cleanup at Frankfurt Arsenal near Philadelphia. And the one on the lower left is the Spring Valley project that Colonel Jordan talked about. That's a chemical warfare site here in DC. On the right side, the top right is in the FUSRAP program. This is the formerly utilized remedial action sites. It's a former DOE program. Most of the projects in that program are focused on radiological waste. This one is here in Baltimore. And the one on the lower right is kind of a unique project. It's a former nuclear power plant, a floating nuclear power plant called the Sturgis that is on the Army's property books, and we're in the process of decommissioning that. So I want to talk briefly about what's similar in the environmental program and what's different relative to military and civil that you heard about. Within the EMDC, we're responsible for program and project management as well as the technical work. But we're a regional and national center for HTRW and military munitions. So we do program and project management within our traditional boundaries, but we support a lot of other districts outside our region in these areas. We're also a regional center for health physics. So we provide a lot of support to other districts in that area. This is a bit of an eye chart, but it shows what the program looked like last year. Last year was something of an anomaly in terms of the magnitude, almost 150 million. We're typically in the range of 60 to 120 million. So this was a bit more, partly because of the wedge of the pie there. You see DNPPP, that's Deactivated Nuclear Power Plant Program. That's the Sturgis. That was a large single award. And then the FUDS program last year was a record for us. Typically, our FUDS program's in the range of 10 to 20 million. I wanted to make a point that following on Jeff's discussion about the SRM work we get, in many of these programs, it's very similar to SRM. We don't have a lot of foresight about the work coming in. So work just shows up on our doorstep sometimes, particularly in the IRP program and in the IIS program. We don't necessarily know we're going to do the work until a customer drops it in our lap. So in terms of acquisition approach, the majority of our contract work is relatively small, and so what we have found to be the best model is to have a toolbox of MATOC type contracts. And so when a project comes along, we can issue a task order to execute it. So that's the vast majority of our work is done through task orders on existing contracts. We try to have these major acquisition tools in place all the time. The first one there is the Environmental Architect Engineer MATOC, typical capacity of 100 to 150 million. And eight awards, usually a mixture of unrestricted and small business. Next, we have general environmental services, 200 to 300 million and about 14 awards, again, a mix of large and small businesses. And then military munitions environmental services, something of a specialty, again, 200 to 300 million and 5 to 10 awards, again, a mix of large and small business. And this is just a snapshot of how things stand right now with each of these tools. The first two are about halfway through their utilization, so we're in good shape. The last one there, the military munitions, the last MATOC that we had, the ordering period ended last summer, and we're in the process of procuring a replacement, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So acquisitions in process. The first one is the MAMS, the Multiple Award Military Munitions Services. The RFP went out last summer. We got proposals in August, and we expect to award this in June. It's going to be a $240 million shared capacity with up to 10 awards total. So those 10 contractors will share that capacity. Within the 10, up to 5 of those awards are reserved for small businesses. At the time we did these slides, this was still in progress, but I'm happy to say it was awarded this week. This is something new for us, multiple award radiological transport and disposal. And this will support a number of programs, but especially FOOSRAP. It's a $225 million, 100% set aside MATOC, and we made 4 awards, so that $225 million will be shared among those 4 awardees. It has a 10-year ordering period. In terms of upcoming acquisitions, the one we're planning right now is the re-procurement of the General Environmental Services contract. We're just in the planning stage now. I would expect you'd see a sources sought notice in the Federal Biz Ops this summer, and then an RFP probably shortly after the first of the year next year. The goal would be to award this in January of 2017. I've got a few specs here about what it might look like, but it's a little early to say. These are just guesses right now till we do some of the market research. And I think this is my last slide. It's just a projection of some of the task order work that we see going out this year in our program. And I'll have a little bit more detail on this in the breakout session if anybody's interested in that. And that's my last slide. And I think next is Tamika Gray. I'm going to see if she...